All right, let's take a look at Lab 6.1, List Basics. And for this one, you're going to need the file name battingaverage.py, which I have open in VS Code. This program is not complete, so we'll see lots of errors until we get it all fixed here. So we're going to interactively enter 8 batting averages. That's going to be this input string over here, and it's going to happen 8 times, so we'll need to set that variable somewhere. And then it's going to find the minimum and maximum batting averages stored in the list. Oh, a list, that's right. You were reading about lists this week, or you're going to read about lists this week, and the Python PAL PDF has lots of list practice for you. So we have the comments. All right, we're going to open that. We're going to write the Python statements indicated by the comments, and then we're going to run the program with these specific values. When you run with these specific values, we'll get these specific answers, and that's what you're going to paste in. All right, so let's go take a look at the code. First thing we need to do is set up our maximum number of averages that you're going to enter. It says in the code we want to batting averages for 8 batting averages. So let's say the max number of averages is 8. All right, and then we're going to need a list. When you enter each batting average, we're going to need to store it somewhere. And for that, I'm going to enter this with square brackets. So let's just pop over into the Python terminal real quick. This is the interactive REPL, and you can see I've created a new list called test scores, and I've entered the values 50, 40, and 45. And we know it's a list. We can check it. We can say type test scores. It's a list. We can look at each of the values, test scores. Let's say, remember, lists, arrays are 0 index. So if I want to see the first one, that's going to be test score 0. Okay, and then we can run methods on that. I got the type. I can also have the list, the length of the list. So the length of test scores is 3. So there are 3 elements. Element 0, element 1, and element 2. That adds up to 3. So then we can go through each of the elements in the list, much like we're going to do for the batting averages. So I could say for I is for iterator in range. And for the range, I'm going to have it be the length of test scores. So for I in the range length of test scores, let's just see what value we get. Test scores I. Let's see what we get. Pring. Pring is not. There we go. So we printed through test scores. Test scores was not entered in any order from highest to lowest or lowest to highest, but it printed exactly what it is. So then we could say, let's make a total, make it 0. And we could say, same thing, I'll just up arrow, for I in range, the length of the test scores, total equals test score, let's say total plus test scores of I. So what should happen here is the total 0. It should say go to test scores 0 and add 50. And then go to test scores 1 and add that value, which would be 40, and then add 45. But I didn't tell it to do anything when it's done, so let's print the total. 135, so 50 plus 40 plus 45, that looks good. And then we could do things like, well, what's the average value? I could just take the average and divide it by 3, or I could divide it by the length of test scores. Talking and typing. And get my 45. All right, so we have the basic skills to go through and finish this. So I've set up my initialization, and I'm going to need to start my loop here. So let's do for I in, and we'll do the same thing, range. I'll use my max averages as my range. Okay, that's good. And then let's see, we've got our average string. So it's going to run through 0 through 7 8 times and ask us to enter a batting average. We're going to have to enter these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. And then it's going to, it's going to have the batting average become a float. Sounds good. And then we're going to add that to the list. So in order to add to the list, we want to append. So let's get that averages, and we're going to append the batting average, this here, because that's going to be our float. We're going to append that to the list. And when we enter that, while the program is running, we'll have 8 values or whatever values we enter there. All right, so that loop's good. And now we need to find the minimum and the maximum. So let's just set the arbitrary value. We'll set it as the first one entered, and then we'll go and fix that and update it. And again, here's our total. They already gave us that. So now we need some code to write the loop to enter this. So let's do another one. We're going to need to go through our max averages again. So for I in range max averages. And what are we going to do in this loop? First, we have to say, let me make that, let's see, within the loop, test for minimum and maximum batting averages. Remember, we just set these arbitrarily. I guess we could have just set them to 0. Maybe that's confusing. Thanks sample code. So within the loop, test for minimum and maximum. So we're going to say if, and we're going to do this for each value. We're just going to run through the loop and set it. So we'll say if the average is I, so that's the one we're looking at right now. If average is I, and we're going to say if it's less than the minimum that we set, remember we set it arbitrary. So whatever the first one is, the first one would be 0.299. So if the range is less than 299, set it. So it won't do anything the first time. The second time it will set it to 157, and then it won't do anything, and then it won't do anything for the rest of the loop. So if the iterator that we're going through, the average is I, is less than the minimum that we set arbitrarily, then we're going to change the minimum to B. We're going to assign that average is I. Lots of typos today for you. That's wonderful. Okay, now we need to check the maximum. So let's do the same thing. If the average is I, we might as well make use of it while we're going through here, is bigger than the max. So if it's greater than the max, then let's set the max to be that. So we're doing multiple checks as we run through the loop. That'll be more efficient for us. And then we also need to get the total. So we could say our total like we did in our Python example, or in this case, we'll just say total plus equals. That's the same as saying total equals total plus, and then we'll just add that I. Okay, that's good. Now, that's our loop. We've set our min and max, so that's what it says here. Now we're going to have to calculate the average of the 8. So that one's going to be easy. So the average equals our total, and it's going to be divided by, in this case, 8. So the 8 averages. So that's our average. And then we have to print everything out. So we're going to print all of the averages stored in the list. So for that, we're going to say for I in range max averages. This one goes back to last lab 5.3. And so we will print, let's make it look fancy. We'll print an F string averages. And let's see, inside here, we'll put the I. So we'll just auto-complete each iteration. We'll go through and print averages I is. That way we can see what it is. And here we'll print inside another F string the actual averages I. That should work for us. That'll print all the averages. Averages 0 is 0.299. Averages 1 is 157. All right, and then we just have to do a couple other, the maximum batting average. So we'll print minimum, maximum, and average. Minimum batting average, let's see. Oh, I can just do it like this, is min. That's fine. Print maximum. Got that helper text blocking. I'm trying to see what I'm doing here. Come on. Is, we'll call this max. And then we'll print the average batting average. Sure, batting is, and we set that up as average. Let's take a look at our code. Max average is 8. I don't see any errors right away. It's not reporting anything down here either. All right. Well, we might be good. Let's give it a try. This is I'm typing it live for you. So let's go ahead and run it. This is called batting average. So Python batting average, enter batting average. Here we go. 0.299, 0.157, 0.242, 0.203, 0.198, 0.333, 0.270, and 0.190. Okay, looks like we did a good job. We typed everything in correctly. This is printing properly. Is minimum, minimum 157. It's supposed to be 157. The maximum should be 0.3, 0.3, and the average should be 0.2365. All right, we did it. Be sure to copy all of your source code and all of the terminal output into the lab.